Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Teach Astronomy. My name's Victoria, but you can call me Vicky, and I'm here today with a special guest, my friend Ansh.
Hey, how's it going?
Ansh is part of Professor Impey's research group that I work with, and Michael used to be part of. You've met Grant from there, you've met Rami from there, and now you're meeting Ansh, our one of our other astronomers and also a video wizard. Uh, so
The whole gang's here now.
yeah, exactly. Just gotta get There's like two other people that we haven't had on so far, but we'll see if.
Chris and Matthew.
Oh, there you
Yeah, clearly.
go. Yeah. Lynn Jersey says welcome, Ansh. Grant's here. Grant
Oh,
says
thank
good
you.
morning.
Hi, Grant.
Grant's one of our mods.
Who's Grant?
Who are you? What? um,
Get out of the chat. We don't want strangers here.
but yeah, we're just gonna hang out and chat today. Talk to Ansh a little bit about you know, why you like astronomy. Um, Talk about some of your video stuff, things like that. But yeah, I don't know. Where do you want to start? I guess we can start with. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in
Yeah,
undergrad and
sure.
everything? You know, where you from,
Yeah,
how
sure.
you moved to the U of A.
So I'm originally from the Kansas City area, but I knew for a while I wanted to do astronomy. I definitely liked it as like a hobby type situation, even in like elementary school. And then in high school, my town was like when we had the eclipse in 2017, my town was like actually one of the towns that was like perfectly on that line of totality. Like I think the total length was like 2 minutes and 56 seconds or something, and we got like 2 minutes and 52
Oh
seconds.
my god,
So
that's awesome.
our town, yeah, it was pretty crazy. And our town has like 80,000 people, and they were expecting like 100 to like 200,000 people to visit just for the eclipse. So it was like this whole big thing in our town. So I was like, I was into astronomy at the time. I was like, I want to, meet up with some people, like doing, see if there's an astronomy club. And I found out there is no astronomy club in town. So, my parents and I were like, why don't we like start one just for fun? Um, so I
No.
just like started like a small little, nothing big, but like a small one in my town. And I would like, look up different topics in astronomy and make these like slideshows and then, play some videos. And, we also got to go to the university and use their planetarium sometimes, which was cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that was like a pretty fun thing. And then at that point, I was like pretty sure I wanted to go into astronomy as a career. Um, so that's kind of how I got into it. And the reason I ended up at the University of Arizona is because we just have a pretty good astronomy program here, and they gave me like a pretty good scholarship. It was just like a good combo of like I wouldn't have to spend too much, and I'd get like a good program. And I really liked the research that was going on here with all
Nice.
the JWST stuff and just, I mean, obviously a very active department.
Yeah.
So it's just best of all worlds. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so
That's
that's how
so
I ended up here.
Yeah. That's so cool. I didn't know you started an astronomy club. That's so fun. I can't
Yeah, it
believe
was,
there wasn't one with the I mean, and like I guess that's very random, like the fact that you're perfectly on the line for the eclipse, but
yeah, I know we used to have one, which is funny, but they like disbanded or whatever. Like I couldn't find any trace of them. I just hear these
no.
whisperings of this ancient astronomy club in town. And yeah.
That's funny. Do you know if is the club like still going on? Like do your parents still host
Oh no.
it?
So I mean my parents just kind of like helped me start it. They don't really know anything about astronomy. I mean, besides the surface level stuff.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's like still going. I try to run it online, I'll just like send emails and stuff like that.
Nice.
But
That's cool
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Very cool.
It was pretty cool. It was a good experience learning to start it. It's always good to just like kind of dive in. I mean, it's like, how do you even start a club? It doesn't really, I mean, it's not like a school club where you just like, have a teacher sponsor you and you just meet. Like, how do you like write up like not like a constitution, but like, like write up rules and like you got to, some, if you want to collect dues or not,
Hmm.
and where to meet and how to get the word out. Like, it's definitely a process.
Yeah. That's really cool. So, your love of astronomy started young, and then you got to see the coolest thing that happened to the United States in years.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, and
astronomy.
the really funny thing is this, our town like super hyped this up. Like tourism board was like super hyping this, and they were like, oh, in 26 years, it's never been cloudy on this day, and the chance of rain is like this. So it's like we're almost certainly gonna get like a great view, and it was cloudy.
It
And
was
the day of it
cloudy?
was cloudy. So like I ended up just driving to another city anyways,
Oh
like a
my
few hours,
god.
like an hour away.
Oh my god.
But I felt so bad because people like booked hotels here, like they flew out here to see it, and it was cloudy. So
Oh no.
yeah, pretty funny.
At least you were able to drive not too far and see it, though. That's good. I
Yeah.
remember watching it from. We got like, I think like just around 50% of totality in Tucson. So I got to watch it from there because I was
Oh, that's
already
good.
in school, which is, yeah, fun. Um, but okay, so you get inspired by this eclipse, and then you come to the U of A. How did you meet up with Chris's group, and like what? So we've talked a little bit, like me and Grant and Rami and Michael and stuff, like a little bit about what Chris's group does. But for people who are new here, we basically are a research group that looks at astronomy education and different types of like science education online. And I'm always curious to see how people, fall into that, because I was a, film and TV person that kind of got involved with a side project with the group. But how'd you find it?
Yeah. So basically, what happened is my sophomore year, I wanted to get into research. Well, I really did my freshman year, but I didn't have any like coding experience, or I didn't really know how to do anything. So my sophomore year, I basically just blanket emailed like as many professors that had research opportunities as I could. I probably sent like 20, 30 emails. And Chris was like one of like two or three that got back to me. So that was pretty
MVP,
good.
the real
Yeah,
MVP.
he's the one goat.
Yes. Chris always responds to emails. He's very good with that. Um, that's awesome. So going forward, is it something that like you're starting your senior year? You just started your senior year?
I'm going to my junior
Your
year.
junior year. Okay. Oh yeah, sophomore. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I'm like, you've been here for how long? It feels like you've been part of the group
Yeah.
forever. Um, but yeah, I've just been with the group for a year. Um, but I know, yeah. So you got a couple more years left of undergrad. But are you looking at doing grad school? And are you looking at like what kind of areas are you looking at as far as research? Like what interests you in astronomy research besides the stuff
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
doing
So I'm also part of another group that does research on high redshift quasars, which are basically, for anyone that doesn't know, they're basically like super enormous, like gargantuan black holes that are like sucking in material, and that material that gets sucked in glows super bright. And we're looking at these black holes that are billions of years away. Um, and so basically, I work with a telescope called, well, the instrument is called DESI, the Dark Energy Spectroscopic Instrument. And it's basically a telescope that just surveys the whole sky. It just takes pictures of all different parts of the sky. And the goal is to eventually take a picture of like almost as much of the sky as it can possibly see and take really good quality data. And then using that data, we can kind of see how different objects at different distances are moving away from us. And the goal is to get a better idea of how dark energy works. Like dark energy is this weird concept that's tied to how the universe is expanding and accelerating in its expansion. And it's pretty hand wavy because we don't have really great data on it and we don't have great theories for it. It's a really big mystery in astronomy.
in?
So using the survey data, we're going to try to get a better picture of how that works.
Nice. Very cool. And Desi, so you said that Desi is on, or it's
It's
the
on Kit.
instrument that's on, oh, on Kip Peak?
Yeah, yeah. It's on a telescope on Kit Peak. The telescope's called the Mayal telescope.
Nice. Oh, I just found pictures. Okay, let me show everyone. Hold on. If I can. Whoa, things have changed in the program that I use. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're good. But here, okay, cool. It is working. I'm gonna open that. Oh, no. I remember how to do this. It's been a minute since I've streamed. Okay, here is Desi, hopefully. Ansh, you can check me.
I well, I'm I think that's it. I've never been up there, but that looks like it.
Yeah. But it looks like a very weird. I love telescopes. I love looking at telescopes that aren't just strictly like a tube, like a closed tube with two, pieces of glass. Cuz like you look at this and you're like it seems like pieces are missing. But um
Yeah, it's a really cool instrument. They basically have like it's the instrument itself is just crazy, and I believe it's 500. It might be 5,000. I think it's like they have 500 individual fiber optic cables that individually run to like their own little sensors and detectors.
wow.
So it's like this crazy complicated thing that like basically the advantage is you can like look at a big piece of the sky, but then you can actually get really good data on individual objects
Uh-huh.
because each stream of light is kind of separated into its own little tube.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I
it's crazy.
I think it is 5,000 cuz on there's like a little Wikipedia when I looked up the image. It gave a little like 5,000 fiber optic robots.
Okay, yeah. And so the cool thing is to kind of aim these little fiber optic tubes. They have like these super insanely precise robots that like maneuver around these little tubes
Wild.
to line up the objects. I know it's pretty cool.
That's very cool. And so these redshifted quasars, is this like a cuz I feel like I've heard about it a little bit, but is this kind of a newer area of research?
So
Or
I wouldn't say it's new. It's definitely active. Like it's a very active area of research.
okay.
There's a lot. It's pretty bustling, but it has a pretty long history. And so the first quasars that were discovered, they were discovered several decades ago, and they didn't really know what they were. And over the years, they've kind of come up with this idea that um, I guess I should backtrack a little bit. So technically, we don't literally 100% with confidence know that quasars are black holes. All we can see is that there are these objects that, if you just look at them, they're like point sources, right? So a galaxy is like a big thing. You point a telescope at a galaxy and you can see it. It looks like a smear or like a smudge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But these are like point sources, so they look like stars. But then if you look at the kind of light that's coming out of them, most stars emit mostly in the visible, or maybe some smaller stars emit in the infrared, and maybe some really hot stars emit in the ultraviolet. So, a pretty narrow band that stars emit most of their energy in. But these quasars are like insanely luminous. Like there are these super bright objects that emit like tons and tons of energy and like X-rays and gamma rays and UV and optical. Like they have this like huge range of emissions that you wouldn't expect from a star.
Yeah.
So on the surface level, it looks like a star, but that then when you look closer, it's nothing like a star.
And
Um,
for chat, if you guys want to see, I found a picture. So this is from Hubble, and you can see there's four quasars. I think they identified four in this image, and they're extremely bright compared to the other stars around them. So
yeah, and quite literally like they're the brightest like continuous thing in the universe, right? There's things like fast radio bursts or whatever, like just one time of events that might be brighter,
mhm.
but these quasars can like literally outshine whole galaxies, and it's just one black hole that literally is brighter than the entire galaxy. Um, and so basically, astronomers were like seeing these weird stars, and they realized that these stars aren't like, a few light years or tens or hundreds, or maybe they're not even a few thousand light years away. These things are like billions of light years away, but we can still see them. Like they literally just look like stars. So these things are like insanely bright, insanely hot. Um, and so, like, fast forward, now we're discovering these quasars further and further away,
Hmm.
and they're kind of giving us an idea to, how the early universe was structured. Um,
Yeah, because the
because we
farther out, the
believe,
earlier into the universe or the
right,
earlier back in the universe that you're looking. So these are extremely young objects as well.
right. So some of these quasars we're discovering are at redshift like 5, 6, even redshift 7, which for reference means these things are like on the order of, 5 billion light years away. And so are probably, a few billion light years old. Um, the conversion isn't exact at that distance because space is actually expanding. So something that's like, 10 billion light years away might emit light towards us. And by the time the light gets to us, the space between us and that object has expanded. So, there are objects like 40 billion light years away from us that we can see. So anyways, that aside, these are objects that are like, billions of light years old. I'm sorry, billions of years old. And we think that there's one in the center of every single galaxy, one of these supermassive black holes. Now, they're not all active. Some of them have pretty much settled down. But these ones that are still like sucking in and eating stars, we think played a pretty key role in how galaxies formed.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, quasars are really interesting. I remember learning about them in one of my like stars classes back in college, and I think Chris did his research before he like kind of transitioned over to educational stuff. He did research into blazars, I think
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah, he
which
did.
I don't know a lot about blazars, but I think they're like even crazier, brighter quasars or something.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing about quasars is like, they have all this material kind of spinning around them and swirling. We call it an accretion disk. And black holes can have really strong magnetic fields. There's all this swirling material. It can be electrically charged. And so in some cases, you get these like huge jets of material coming out of the poles of the black hole. So you can imagine stuff spinning around, and as it gets closer, some of it gets ejected up and down like this at like insane speeds. And sometimes these jets can be literal light years long. It's actually crazy. And it turns out, most of the time these jets are going in random directions, but sometimes they're pointed right towards us. And if it's pointed right towards us, we get this like this weird we see this like weird beaming effect, and they seem even brighter, and there's all these weird effects, like the light is polarized. So there's all these crazy things, and so that's what's called a blazars if those jets are pointed towards us.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think Chris studied those before he switched over, like you said.
Gotcha. And I just wanted to show everybody some of those black hole jets. So this one isn't a quasar specifically. This is oh gosh, I always forget the name of this object, but I'm pretty sure it's what we use for the Active Galactic branding. Maybe you'll know it, but basically you're looking at a galaxy, or it might be an active galactic nuclei because we are called active galactic, so that would make sense. But you can see the jets. You can see a little bit of the jets in the optical image, but then you can see more detailed in this like punched in version.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so it probably is an active galactic nucleus.
I'm
You
assuming
know,
so
that's
because that's
that's
what we
kind of
named our
like,
channel.
yeah, yeah, that it lines up. That's crazy.
I can't remember what it's actually called.
It might be
Is it
a Seyfert galaxy. Is that?
maybe? Oh, this is Centauri something.
Oh, you mean like the literal name of the galaxy?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, I see.
Oh,
But
this is
yeah,
Centaurus A,
I see.
apparently. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, active galactic nuclei. Like quasars and blazars are one type of active galactic nucleus. Um, and that's kind of how we started discovering them in the first place. Sometimes we see these weird star-like objects, but sometimes if they're not quite bright enough, it just looks like the galaxy has this weird bright spot in the middle. And some active galactic nuclei are caused by other things. It might just be some galaxies have really active star forming regions, or there's all these weird effects. So there's there's different classes of active galaxies, but quasars are kind of one type of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And if anyone in chat has any questions for Ansh, feel free to throw them out there. I will question him for you. I'll pass them along. Um, but yeah, so quasars and active galaxies and fun things. So you're looking to continue that kind of research when you do some sort of graduate program?
Yeah, so it's pretty, I really like it. So I'd be happy to keep doing it in grad school. I'm definitely open to exploring other things, but I really like this is a really common interest, and I'm really passionate about it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool. So on the flip side of all of the, you know, what's the word? Like hard data research kind of stuff. You also, as I said, are a video wizard. Um, and you make some of the videos that are on our YouTube channel. A significant portion of the ones that have been released within the last year, I would say. Most of them. um, but if you guys have seen anything on Active Galactic, we have recently put out a lot of really cool shorts. And today, nope, yesterday, we actually released a video that Ansh made about the Artemis 1 mission. And we've got a lot of other stuff in the works. Ansh has done a few other videos as well. You had the astrology versus astronomy. And what was the one before that? Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Well, I helped host the James Webb video.
Yes.
And the very first video I made was actually a fun Halloween video
Oh,
about
yes.
it was a story that Chris wrote up about getting sucked into a black hole. It was kind of this fun sci-fi story.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Oh,
But
I'm
yeah,
just looking in
so.
chat. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say I'm just looking in chat. Yeah, so someone said love the shorts, so thanks. I'm glad you like them, and they seem to do pretty well. So I always and it's really fun putting them together too. And they also asked if I'm doing a minor. So I'm a double major in physics and astronomy here at the University of Arizona. Those two degrees line up really well, so it's pretty easy to do both. And I also have a math minor, which kind of same thing. It really lines up with those. So, to if I was just doing astronomy versus adding the physics major and math minor, I think I have to take like, you know, 3 or 4 extra classes. So it's pretty much a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and thank you for the love on the shorts. There's some more coming. We're trying to do a more regular type of a short like 2 shorts a month and 2 longer videos a month. So keep checking the Active Galactic channel. Make sure you get those notifications on and all that jazz. If you guys don't know what the Active Galactic channel is, hey, there is a link in our about page. Go give us a subscribe. I was gonna say a follow. That's on Twitch. Gotta
I
keep
mean, you
getting
can follow
used
us
to it.
there too if you can.
You could try. You could try. You could find
Try your
if you can
best.
find a way. You can follow us on social medias too.
We've
Um,
got some pretty smart followers. I think they can. I think they can figure it
they can
out.
find a way. Yeah. Um, but what made you interested in making video stuff for astronomy things? Like where did that love start? Because you came into the group knowing how to do videos already. So.
Yeah, so I just like making videos of any kind. And I started off like this is really funny, but I have, I used to make like these videos in elementary school with my friend, and by some miracle, I still have some of them, just like it's sitting in a random email. Um, and so I've been able to like watch these videos I made when I was like 8 or whatever of me just like pretending to fight my friend or whatever.
Oh my god.
And even back then, like we didn't do like real editing, but we like had these cuts, but it was edited really funny. Like there's this one shot. Um, like basically we just set up the camera and we pretended to fight, but we tried to do the scene where it was like a face down, it was like ooh, and then you just turn around and the other guy's like but we didn't turn the camera, so it's just us in the same spot. So anyways, there's these really funny videos, and that same friend and I just like kept making videos since elementary school. So like, we would be in like classes in high school together, and they'd have like a start of the year project, like, oh, give like a 2 or 3 slideshow introducing yourself. And like, if we knew we could get away with it, we'd just be like, oh, let's just make like a 10-minute video of us just doing nonsense instead. And we'd be like these heroes of class, like just wasting so much class time and like just literally just like completely beaming in class.
I love it. I love
Um,
it. That's so
so,
fun.
anyways, like I think a year or two ago, my friend and I actually made this video where we like went back and like reacted to one of our old videos, but we pretended it was like this cinematic masterpiece. Like we were like analyzing like The Godfather or like
Oh
some
my
like
god.
Blade Runner. We're like, oh man, the cinematography here is just incredible.
That's so fun.
So, anyways, I really just have loved making videos for forever, and I love watching educational YouTube. Just I watched probably I don't know. I couldn't even count how many like just random educational YouTubers I'm subscribed to, but like any topic, I would just like binge it.
Hmm.
Um, And so like coming into the group, I heard you guys were yeah, Grant, sure. Yeah, we got to go back and surely we got to react to some of our old
Oh, that'd
AGV
be
vids and
really
just for
funny.
but yeah, when I joined the group, I was like, "Oh, you guys make videos too. That's like perfect." Like I didn't even realize that when I emailed Chris, but I was like, that's like too good."
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say at the time we hadn't been focusing a lot on the YouTube channel because like we were funded by different grants and stuff, and like the grant that funds that technically ran out, but like we still do educational content and stuff on online, and that includes YouTube videos. So we've been getting more into it now, which is exciting. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And so yeah, it was funny because I don't think I've ever made an educational video before that, but I mean I really I'd been wanting to because my parents would like follow my old channel and they see me make these like nonsense videos and they're like they still liked them, but they were like, "Aren't you could make like actual like proper education videos, you know?" And I was like, they're kind of right. Like I kind of should do that. So
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty much the best.
And the ones
Oh,
you've
and
made,
someone
I
oh
was just
sorry, go
gonna say the
ahead.
ones you made so far are excellent. Very, very good host, very good writer and editor.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I watched Ansh's cut of the Artemis mission video that went up yesterday, a couple days before. And I literally messaged him. It was just like, this is incredible. Like, oh my God, I want everyone to see this. So we might show a little piece of that, or maybe the whole video. I don't know. It's 5 minutes long towards the end of stream. So if you guys want to hang out and watch that, and that'll be fun. Um,
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, all these guys are so awesome. Like I just really like the vibe of the video team. It's so good.
yeah,
Everyone's very supportive.
we have fun here. But I think you were going to address a question from Papas to Pastor.
Yeah, what is
Uh,
the weirdest question you've been asked?
yeah. I don't know. I
Um,
mean, assuming that means like in astronomy kind of stuff, or maybe video making kind of stuff.
yeah, what's
Because
the weirdest question? I mean,
I'm sure you get a
I
lot of.
don't.
I mean, I know a lot of my friends that are in astronomy. Spoiler: I'm not the one with the astronomy degree in the group. But a lot of my friends in astronomy get a lot of questions when they tell someone, "Hey, I'm an astronomer." It's either some crazy thing about multi dimensions and black holes and dark matter and stuff like that, or it will be an astrology question.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so,
Um, yeah, I don't know if I've been yeah, Grant, pretty
can you
much.
tell me my future?
I don't know if I've been asked any super weird questions, but I've definitely gotten not as much anymore, but a couple years ago, definitely I would tell people in high school, like they'd be like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Oh, I want to go into astronomy." They'd be like, "Oh, what's your sign?" It's like, "Okay, nice." But I think the best one was I was my piano teacher asked me. I used to take piano lessons. I still play quite a bit,
Oh my god, I
and
didn't know
just as a little side tangent.
that.
But she asked me like, "What do you want to do in college?" And I was like, "This was like quite a while ago, so I didn't really know what it meant exactly." But I was like, "Oh, I want to go into cosmology," because I watched the show Cosmos, and I was like, "Oh, I want to do like that specifically."
Hmm.
And so I was like, "I want to go into cosmology." And she's like, "Oh, you want to like cut people's hair?" She thought I was said cosmetology, and I was like, "No, like I'm just like why what?"
No, no, very different.
But no, not no. But it was that was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, the I mean, I'm sure you're very versed in the like you said, everyone's like, "Oh, what's your sign?" Like the impetus for making that one video, astrology versus astronomy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just send that to anyone who is confused next time.
Hmm. Yeah, just all astronomers just have it ready. Just be like, "Here it is. You want to
Yeah,
cut
you
people's
want
hair."
to. Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe one day you never know. I guess I'm open to it.
Oh my god. Um,
Yeah.
so going back to like video stuff, um, what I mean, we have a lot of videos like planned. Um, but as someone who has been like, filming stuff and like making little videos for a really long time, what's like your dream video project? Like if we could like, because I have a lot myself where I'm like, man, if we had the funding to be able to like go somewhere or like talk to someone and do something like, what would you want to make?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh man.
Oh,
I
Grant
guess I would
suggested if observational astronomy
yeah.
isn't working, you can go into
Yeah, my dream project is to actually ditch the whole thing and go to beauty school.
cosmetology school.
No, I always I like the videos that are kind of more storytelling and take these like really mundane, like just set like these like not literally boring, but like someone if someone just like ran into it in like a news article or something, they'd be like, oh, that's just like a boring story. And I love people that can like take these like random stories in some field, it doesn't even have to be astronomy, and can just like build this up to like this grand scale and just make for a moment like make this like tiny tiny fragment of history feel like it was like revolutionary and changed the world, and it's just like puts you in that person's shoes and what it felt like to be them. Like one of my like favorite YouTubers of all time is this guy named John Boys who makes these sports videos. And I'm not really into sports that much. I'd like I follow my local teams and stuff, and like I'm like familiar with it, but like I don't really tune into that many games or anything. But this guy just like will pick out some like random figure in sports. Like it'll just be like this is like just some random quarterback in like the 1970s, or like I don't know, just he just like take these random people like, oh, he's just like a weird baseball guy that's been playing for like 30 years. Like what? And he just like will delve into their history and like build them up. And it's like this his editing style is so unique too. He will like use Google Earth as like an editing thing. So he'll like move the camera around Google Earth, like zoom into random places, and like there's just like these cinematic camera moves, and then the music. It's just it's an indescribable feeling. But the best way I could explain it is like it puts you in the shoes of some random like player that lived like 50 years ago, and it makes you like just wonder about how this is even possible.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy. So I've always wanted to do something like that with astronomy. And someone that's recently like really caught my interest is this guy named Bobby Broccoli, who's on YouTube,
Be
who actually
broccoli.
makes really similar videos to John Boy's. And he's even made videos about like how to edit like John Boy's. So like it's not like he's hiding the inspiration,
Hmm.
but he has his own unique flavor, and he does videos on physics. So he had this really cool video series on this guy named Henrik Schern, who was this like researcher in material science, and he basically faked like all of his data.
Oh
Like
my god.
he published like all these papers, like was like huge. Like he was on the Forbes like 30 under 30 list. Like he was like this huge figure in science. Like he just burst onto the scene in like a year or two, like made these huge groundbreaking discoveries. And it turns out it was all fake.
Oh my god.
But this guy like framed the video like this guy like almost faked his way to a Nobel Prize and like went into the history, and like there's this one like my favorite moment in the whole video was he was talking about how this guy like faking all this data didn't just affect him, it like affected all these other people.
Yeah.
So he's going through all these other like PhDs and postdocs that went into material science or organics, which is the specific thing he was studying, and how they basically left science or like were basically set back years because they were trying to replicate these fake results and they couldn't do it. And like my like favorite part of it was he was talking about where he worked, Bell Labs, and how it would go on to basically dissolve. Bell Labs is like out of like any commercial research laboratory, like not government funded, it has like the most Nobel prizes.
Yeah.
Um, like they discovered the cosmic microwave background radiation, they invented the transistor, like this huge. They have so much history, and now they like have basically been cut back to almost nothing, and
Yeah.
it's really sad. And he was talking about this is kind of like a pivotal moment for them, and he shows this pie chart of how many people got laid off after the recession, and it's the whole pie chart is like one color except like a tiny tiny slice, and he zooms in and that tiny slice says my mom, because his mom used to work there, and she got I know it's like sounds funny, but in the video it's like this crazy moment that like he's like talking about this so abstractly, and then it zooms in, it's like, oh, like
This is very
this
personal.
guy's mom got fired,
Yeah.
and like potentially because of this guy. And it's I don't know, it just really it gives you such a crazy feeling.
Yeah. It's very like I don't know, humanizing these stories that like you never would have heard otherwise. That were like that like it's like the kind of thing of like you see a blip like in a Wikipedia article where you're reading about someone who was famous and like has a whole Wikipedia article on them and says something about like and they worked with so and they don't have a linked page or anything and you're like, well, who is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really
No,
cool.
that's
I like that.
yeah. And I really just like delving into like the personal stories of these people because like scientists are like can be like really interesting people.
Yeah.
I think it's sad that like some people's stereotype of scientists is just like these boring nerds, but these can be like some of the most interesting people. Like one of my favorite stories. Sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but
No, you're good. This is fun.
I was reading this book about this guy called Paul Erdős, who was like one of the most important mathematicians of the 20th century. And his story is interesting enough, but in this book they were talking about one of his like main collaborators, Ron Graham, um, who was famous for discovering Graham's number, which is like kind of this famously huge number. It was even in the Guinness Book of World Records. And so he's like a super important mathematician in his own right. And it's also funny because he was also like an amazing like gymnast and juggler. Like he was president of like the American Jugglers Association. Like he did gymnastics in college. He's literally not just like a good gymnast. Like he's like a world class gymnast
Yeah.
and also just like one of the world's best mathematicians. So just these like random bits and pieces of people's lives is it's so
It's
interesting.
so funny. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has like, yeah, side projects. Everybody has
Yeah, yeah.
something that they, something else going on that you would never guess unless you, read a book about them or you asked about it. That's so fun.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I just learned today that you play the piano. I've known you for a year, so look at that, side projects.
Yeah.
um, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, there's one video that you're working on. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give anything away, but that's kind of in the vein of finding one of those small stories that people forgot about and going into detail about it and talking about the person behind it and everything, which is that I'll give a little teaser, but there was a telescope that got shot and with a gun and still works. Well, I don't know about today, but
I think it still does.
yeah. It's so
It
funny.
yeah, it got shot like 6 or 7 times and like nothing happened to it. Like basically
It's
all that
wild.
happened is like there's a few holes in the telescope, so it collects like 1% less light.
It's so
And it's
funny.
the I read the report, like they did like a follow-up report, and this it's basically like the telescope director is like kind of pissed because he's like all these national news outlets are like making this huge deal out of it. And he's like writing this sarcastic report, and he's like, literally the next day we got like some of our best pictures ever. That's not a big deal. I was like,
They're like,
well,
don't
like
worry about
how
it.
is this? How is this real? This is so funny.
Oh, Lynn Jersey's wondering how it got shot.
So I think what happened was there was an employee that I don't know, something happened. The employee got mad and shot at their supervisor and thankfully missed. No one got hurt. And after they shot at their supervisor and missed, they were like, okay, whatever, and just emptied the rest of the clip into the into the telescope mirror. And it's funny because I saw this in a Wikipedia article at first, and I was like, oh, let me like look at the report. And the Wikipedia didn't mention this. I can't find anywhere else that mentions this besides the report. But the report it doesn't even say like it was like, oh, the telescope got shot at, but here's the damages. The damage sustained from the bullets and the repeated blows from a hammer were minimal. I was like, what? No one's talking about the hammer. Wait, the hammer too? What?
Oh my god.
So apparently this telescope got whacked with a hammer and it's shot at, and it's fine. It's completely
It's
fine.
fine.
So,
Which goes to
anyways,
show if JWST gets hit by a little rock, I think we're probably going to be good.
yeah, yeah. I like how the Wikipedia article keeps it so casual. It's like, oh, this is the only major telescope that's suffered vandalism damage. So I think it's a little more than vandalism, but
Yeah, right?
oh my
Oh my
gosh,
god, Grandpa, forget about Postal. That's what it's called
yeah,
when you go astronomical. The
oh
poor
my
telescope.
gosh,
Apparently, the
yeah.
telescope's fine. Um,
Still hurts though.
no.
Oh
I'm
man.
excited for that video. That's gonna be fun. Um, but speaking of videos, should we show yours?
Yeah, I think if we got a few minutes left, so
Yeah.
may as well.
All right. You guys want to see a video? Imagine if we got dinged for
DMCA.
copyright right now. Yeah. Okay, let me pull it up. Run through the ads first because no, I don't pay for YouTube Premium.
Wow.
I don't have that money. All right.
Can't believe this.
Let's make sure this is working. I think it'll work.
It's been 50 years since humans have set foot on another celestial object. Here we are, trapped on this little blue pebble. But now, we have another chance to escape. We're in a new era of space exploration.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to start it over. I realized that the thing's in the way. There we go. Let me make this nice. Gotta make it nice. For our viewers. Gotta make it nice.
Ice is nice.
I don't love the way that it's... Okay, it's gonna be a little vignetted. Apologies, folks. Anyway, okay, we'll start from the beginning. That's better.
It's been 50 years since humans have set foot on another celestial object. Here we are, trapped on this little blue pebble. But now, we have another chance to escape. We're in a new era of space exploration, and commercial spaceflight is revolutionizing the field. 2021 featured the highest number of orbital launches in a single year, the first spaceflight with only private citizens, and the highest concurrent number of people in space at one time, at 19. Government space agencies are making equally giant leaps. China is slated to complete its own space station by the end of the year. Europe, India, Japan, Brazil, and countless other nations are banding together to launch space probes to explore the solar system. One of the most interesting leaps forward is the United States Artemis program, but to understand its significance, we need to talk about Apollo. "4 days, 13 hours, 7 minutes, and 33 seconds of isolation. This is perhaps the most alone any group of humans has ever been.
It's one small step for man.
It's perhaps mankind's greatest achievement, and yet the astronauts hear no applause, just deafening silence. Our heroes are being cheered on by over 500 million humans watching live, and yet they couldn't be further away from them. But such a simple action as taking those first steps shook people to their core. Starry-eyed citizens awed by the beauty of the lunar surface ended up pursuing careers in STEM. Technologies like computers, solar panels, batteries, heart monitors, fireproofing, cameras, and countless others were spun off directly from Apollo. The indirect impacts from people inspired by the program are unfathomable. Creating just a handful of heroes can change the world. This may be one reason why NASA chose to borrow names from Greek mythology, in which heroes are the descendants of deities. Apollo, the god of the sun, light, and the truth, gave rise to a set of valiant heroes and changed humanity's perspective forever. The name personifies the program meant to uplift and unite people amidst the darkness of division, illuminating a pillar of hope, if only for just a moment. As the echoes of the Cold War ring through history, we need a new set of heroes to bring the world together once more. NASA and its growing list of 21 partner nations decided to embody this imperative as Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, nature, and the moon, to lead the quest for the next generation of discovery, adventure, and exploration. The mission will give rise to a new wave of heroes who will send seismic shocks of inspiration and innovation through science, society, and culture. Billions of people who have never before had representation on the pristine lunar surface will be emboldened and empowered as the first woman and person of color will set foot on the moon. Indeed, Artemis is boundary-shattering in nearly every possible way. The program will make use of the Space Launch System, or SLS rocket, the most powerful NASA has ever built, in conjunction with a completely unprecedented human landing system to deliver astronauts to the surface. Astronauts will touch down on the barren lunar South Pole, performing a plethora of groundbreaking experiments and collecting samples from permanently shadowed regions of the moon. The data they collect will determine the viability of a moon base, which has enormous implications for the future of space exploration. Heroes challenge us to push the boundaries of what's considered possible. These astronauts will be a shining beacon for young scientists and engineers, bringing people from all backgrounds together in the pursuit of innovation. Science thrives in times of exploration, so some have wondered why NASA is returning to the moon when we've been 6 times before. Putting aside the invaluable scientific importance of these missions and their paradigm-shifting importance to our culture, the Artemis program represents one small step towards humankind's next giant leap, a mission to Mars. Our first step onto the vast, rusty seas of the Martian landscape will be forever immortalized and memorialized. At that moment, our species will become interplanetary for the first time in history. Unshackled from the confines of our homeworld, we cast ourselves into the abyss, and looking back we see nothing but a pale blue dot. From so far away, every fight, every disagreement, every squabble over land and decades-old grudge, every heartbreak will all be reduced to a speck. But a Mars mission will not diminish the here and now. The unfathomably distant perspective we will gain from such a cosmic voyage may seem to reduce the scale of our problems, but in reality, it gives us an unprecedented opportunity to reflect and change for the better. When we look up at the night sky, we can place ourselves among those voyagers and pioneers, and we can put aside our earthly differences, coming together to unite behind the heroes of humanity. The Artemis program is currently split up into 6 missions, all carried by the behemoth SLS rocket. Artemis 1, currently planned to launch on August 29, 2022, will be an uncrewed test of launch systems. The rocket will deploy small satellites, briefly orbit the moon, and splash back down in the Pacific. Artemis 2, scheduled for May of 2024, will fly by the moon with 4 astronauts on board. And Artemis 3, in 2025, will also carry 4 astronauts. All of these heroes will hold the flame of ambition atop the torch of humanity, and 2 of them will bring this beacon to the lunar surface. Science can seem like a series of fixed chapters in a textbook, but our knowledge is constantly growing and expanding, budding into pockets of deep insight and existential truth. The bubbling cauldron of progress is just starting to boil over, so it's time we made our mark into the future and pushed the boundaries of what humanity is capable of.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh gosh. What is happening? Oh my god, House of the Dragon. Jesus Christ, I forgot to pause it. Oh my god. That scared me. Oh, what? Okay, that's better. I was like, I feel so exposed without the background. But yeah, that's Ansh's new video. It's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Grandpa said his cat also watched it with him. It's very exciting.
Thanks for the kind words. Chatters.
Oh, Game Doctor's here.
Pog.
Hey, how you doing? It's been a minute. Game Doctor said nicely done. Yeah, it's a really good video. I really liked it.
Thank you. Yeah, this one it turned out really well, I think. And what I was really glad to see is NASA has all these like amazing animations and stuff like just like publicly available. So if you guys are wondering where I got the graphics for that video from, like the spaceship lifting off and astronauts and stuff, that's all like NASA's media that's like publicly available.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes for some topics, especially if it's not NASA related, it's hard to get good footage that we're like clear to use. There's some restrictions as like we have to be really careful about copyright since we're like publicly funded and stuff. So it's awesome that there's all this amazing NASA footage, and yeah, the story. I think the story is so good.
Yeah, my favorite part. This is a joke. My favorite part is actually not joking. I think my favorite part is actually the part where you're like the pale blue dot thing, and you're like, but wait, it's so good. Anyway, that and the like when you switch over to the Apollo footage in the very beginning, I was like, oh, so good. It's so good. But no, my jokingly favorite part is when you see one of the astronauts walking with their hands out, kind of like, not like zombie-ish, like I can't show it on street. I mean, it's like, oh gosh, let me just rip my headphones out. But their arms are like here as they walk, and it's very funny. And
the thing is, it might be realistic too, and it could be that maybe just the animators kind of, didn't like they probably were focusing more on like the moon and everything rather than the exact geometry of the astronauts. But the thing is, it might actually be accurate because the spacesuits are like huge and bulky,
That's
and
true.
it's hard to move around in them.
Yeah.
Like on one part of the video, you see the guy bend down to pick up the rock, and it's really awkward how the astronaut gets down. But I like that might actually be how they have to like do that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. But super
So
good
anyways, yeah.
video. And yeah, very you said that it wasn't the easiest to find the Artemis stuff though, right? You kind of had to like hunt for it.
For the footage or
Yeah.
what stuff? Yeah, so some the problem was all that stuff is publicly available, but like especially with all the buzz now, there is so much Artemis stuff that finding like the best looking clips and everything definitely took some digging because this is probably a limitation on my end in terms of searching and everything, but I couldn't figure. It's hard to use NASA's like image and video UI. It doesn't. The algorithm isn't as smart as Google Images or anything like that.
Hmm.
So sometimes you have to do a bit of sifting yourself. And you can look up the same exact thing and it'll like randomize the order of the stuff. So if you find a clip in one search and you like redo it, you have to kind of go dig for it. But no, it was obviously not a huge deal, and it I found all the clips I needed. So
Yeah.
yeah. One thing I should say is Artemis is definitely not without controversy. This video kind of painted it as like this really amazing program. Um, there is definitely some controversy surrounding it, especially like the rocket, the Space Launch System rocket. Some people are wondering why NASA kind of built this huge and arguably inefficient rocket, and it really kind of went over budget for a lot of reasons. But my whole goal with the video was, even though the program is kind of controversial and you may not agree with how we got here, now it's happening, and we should be excited that we're going back into space. We're sending astronauts to the moon. It's extremely exciting, and it represents the future of space exploration. Even though we're doing something that's already been done before,
Hmm.
it's a launching off point to Mars, and that's something worth celebrating, no matter whether or not you disagree with the program itself.
Yeah. I think a lot of the controversy that I heard was kind of well, why are we spending money on this when we could be spending money on doing other types of research and different space missions and stuff like that. And like I think that's totally fair. But I also think like, multiple missions can be funded at the same time, you know what I mean? And I think that anything that in the way that like Apollo kind of spurred on, as your video talks about, like spurred on this like desire to learn more about space for a lot of people and like it re-inspired people. I think something like Artemis does that in a way that like JWST is very exciting and inspiring for people who already are interested in astronomy and telescopes and stuff like that. But when you put people on the moon, there's like a universal kind of effect that you get there. And also for like younger kids and stuff, the importance of seeing someone that looks like you is really important in going on and doing the thing that you want to do and becoming the next astronaut or the next astronomer or the next space scientist. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And I can say from personal experience, like me as like an Indian person, and also I should say Asian Indian, if it's not clear. Me as an Indian person, and especially I've noticed people that were like born and raised in India. Seeing an Indian person doing something like really cool, whether it's science or specifically space related, is really like people like rally behind that, and that like is super inspiring. Like when India landed a probe on Mars, like people were like so excited. That was
Yeah.
like what like you know to be honest, like the quality of life in India is not as good as we have in the West, and so sometimes it can be um, people can have a more negative outlook, and then but having a country that's been so trampled on over the decades and centuries, that's had so much taken away from them, even internally, having this like one moment that like we can all unite behind and like be excited for is like so amazing. And it's like only a few countries have ever successfully landed on Mars, and so that was like so like and empowering for me. And I know it was for so many other Indians as well. So
Yeah.
I think this will be super, super important for the billions of people that have never had someone that looks quite like them on the moon before.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Well, I think we can kind of wrap it up on that lovely point there because it is 10:58, so we are at the very end of our hour. But before y'all go, thank you so much, Ansh, for hanging out and chit chatting. This was really fun.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Thanks so much for having me,
yeah,
and hope you guys found my story at least a little interesting.
yeah. If anyone wants to go and I know you already watched the video, but if you want to go watch it again, if you want to share it with your friends, if you want to like it, if you want to subscribe to our channel, if you want to, I shouldn't have closed the link. I have to open the link again. Hold on one second. Um, but if you want to, yeah, if you want to put it on your favorites list, if you want to go and look at all the rest of our videos,
Yeah, you're very
go
welcome.
check it out.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, definitely, obviously you've seen this video now, but we're gonna have a lot more videos coming out over the next few weeks.
Yes.
We did a lot of filming over the summer, so now we're just in editing mode. So stay tuned and we'll have a lot more coming your way.
Yeah, so definitely go check out that link, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you get notified when we upload a new video because they're probably going to be coming, hopefully, full videos every 2 weeks or so, at least like twice a month. So maybe not every 2 weeks how that works out, but and then still shorts as well. Grant's working on editing one right now. There you go. But yeah, as far as next week goes, I will be back on Monday with some more Subnautica. I've been playing Subnautica on stream. On Wednesday, me and Michael are going to be here doing astronomy news. Hopefully, if the Twitch gods smile upon us, because we tried to go live on Wednesday and they said no, which is why we couldn't be live on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I will either be back here doing something like this, or maybe we'll start another season of D&D in space. I'm not sure if we're doing that next week or the week
Ooh.
after. Yeah, very exciting. But yeah, please follow if you're new here. Please subscribe if you are so inclined. Help support the channel. And I think that's it. Anything else you wanted to say, Ansh, before we head off?
Just keep on dreaming, keep on being interested in astronomy, all that good stuff.
Nice. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.